Launch code. Access granted. A millionaire.
Hello, welcome to this Microsoft Excel lesson. I am your host and instructor, Ruben Herrera. And on this video, my friends, we're going to continue with our lessons with pivot tables. And on this lesson in particular, we're going to learn how to group and ungroup information in our pivot tables. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this because it's easier to destroy my pivot table by doing this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and drag right here my dates right here. Very nice. And I'm going to go ahead and drag my cells in here. And notice that sometimes the Excel pivot tables are very intuitive and they're going to try to give me my information here. Notice that my information is somewhat already grouped. The data that I have in here, it's already grouped by years. Notice that on my 2000 transactions that I have right here on my database, I have data that is like almost 2.5 years. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and just this is group already. I don't want Excel to group it for me yet. I want Excel just to give me this information like almost, I guess, for the lack of a better word, I want to say raw. I don't want this to be grouped. I want to group this information myself the way I want and not the way my pivot table is suggesting me. So in case your information looks like this when you group it, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and click right here on this column, and I'm going to click right here on the analyze tab, and then I'm going to select right here on group, and look what happened. Very nice. So this is what I have now. I have the daily sales, and just in case some sales were repetitive, so just in case you have more than one transaction per day, right here my pivot table is now giving me the daily sales amount. Very nice. But remember, I have a whole bunch of transactions in here. If you're a very analytical person, or if you want to find out what was the given sales in one day or in a given day, this is a great option. So what I did is I'm just drag date here and my cells here, and I ungroup it. I could have also drag date in here and date here again, so that it can do a count and it can tell me how many transactions I have per day. But for right now, I'm just worried about the money. Yes, with my mind and my money and my money on my mind. No, I'm just kidding. So what I'm going to do, this is too many transactions now to see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and group this. I'm going to select right here. I'm going to select, oops, only one cell within the column that I want to group my information on my pivot table. And I'm going to click right here on group selection. And notice right here that on this dialog box, Excel is very good. Excel already calculates or automatically calculates and finds out what was the oldest day and what is your latest day or your most recent day, maybe on that particular order. And this is one of the tips that I also, this is one of the tips that I give to all my students and that you need to watch out for. If you have data on your pivot table that is within the same year, then you don't have to worry about it. Okay. But whenever you have data on your pivot table that is more than 1 year, or like you have that business fiscal year where it's really a year, but it's really data from 2 years. Whenever you group your information in here, which you notice that you have some options in here, we can group right here our information by minutes, hours, days, months, quarters, years. Okay. But whenever you have information that concerns more than 1 year, in this case, we have 2.5 years in our information, always make sure that whatever information you select in here, make sure that you always select years. If your information concerns or yeah, concerns more than 1 year. Okay. Because I see this mistake being made time to time with some students and some participants. They say, well, I want to group my information by months or by quarters. And you see what happened here is that, yeah, if you group your information by months, it's going to give you, for example, the total for the month of January for the year of, in this case, for the year of 2014, 2015, and and 2016, or at least 2 years combined. And this is why sometimes your information doesn't look right, or it looks like you overpay, or you are under budget. So I want to group my information by months, and I'm going to go ahead and do it by years. I'm going to select years, and I'm going to click OK. And very nice, look at this. So now I have my information right here by month, but it's also group it by years. So very nice. I can go back and change this group selection. Now I'm going to unselect months, and I'm going to do it by quarters. Click OK. You notice I went back right here to group selection to change my selection in here. Very nice. So notice I have all my quarters in here, and I have my totals in here. Very nice. And this, my friends, this is how you group information on your pivot tables, or how you group also your totals or your data. Remember that you can also ungroup it just by clicking right here on the ungroup button. Make sure that you select a cell within your pivot tables, or the column with the information that you want to ungroup. In this case, I started to group my information from the very from the very left, I'm sorry, of my pivot table. So there you go. Boom, there is on group again. I'm going to group it one more time for you so that you can see it. I'm going to select right here one cell within the column that I want to group my data, in this case my dates. Group selection, I'm going to do quarters, years, and I'm going to unselect months. Okay, very nice. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And there you go. That's my information right there. Group it again. Very nice. Notice that by default, my pivot table or Excel already subtotal right here my years. And the reason why it did that is because the Excel software is very intuitive. It also remembers the history of what you were doing with your pivot tables. I was using this Excel file to actually practice before I actually do these videos, to make sure that I give you guys the correct information and I don't make a fool out of myself, or at least not as much anyways. So notice that I already have my subtotals here, and the reason why they appear is because I went right here to the analyze. I'm sorry, I went right here to the design tab, and notice that I have this command right here, the very first one on the left right here on the design tab of my pivot table. When I click right here, and notice that I have right here some show and do not show subtotals options. So I'm going to click right here, do not show subtotals, and notice that here this is what my information can look like this originally. But if you want your subtotals, all you have to do is make sure that you click inside of your pivot table, click right here on design, and then click right here on subtotals, and notice that right here the default behavior is usually, or well, the default behavior most of the times is to not show subtotals. So you can come right here and click show subtotals at the bottom of each group, and then boom, right there it'll put your subtotals right there. This is like subtotaling, something that we learned, I believe it was on Excel level 2. I can also put my subtotals on the top, but for some reason, depending on the pivot table that you have and the design that you have and how you have your information, in this case my pivot table is on tabular form, it's not going to show my subtotals on the top, but it will do my subtotals on the bottom. And look, I still have my grand total right here. I guess I can go in here and go to analyze and add my currency symbol, so it's going to look better. Notice that I'm always prefer using accounting over the currency format. Very nice. You see that? Now I have right here my pivot table, my data, my dates, grouped and with subtotals. Very nice. I'm going to do this one more time, my friends, so that you can see it. So to subtotal your pivot table, you are going to go right here to design and click right here on the very first command right here on the left. It says right here, show all subtotals at the bottom of the group. This is what makes more sense to me. I'd rather have my totals, I'd rather have the totals at the bottom of each group. But some people might want to see it on the top, depending on your eyes or depending on how you want to see your information. Anyways, Thank you very much for being on this lesson with me on these lessons, and thank you for being with me on this journey. I thank you so much for taking my course on pivot tables, and I hope to see you guys in another lesson. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.
Launch code. Access granted.